Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another hard-hitting episode, of the Callous Mind Talking Head Sportscast. This week we are talking about the 2024 National Football League WildCard playoff round. It's actually for the 24/25 football season, but I wanted to come on and talk about it. I know that I missed a couple of weeks here not doing videos, and I want to explain about that and just kind of have a general overall chat. So let's without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this thing. So let's see, take off that transition, and all right. So before I get started with today's games, or I should say this weekend's games preview, I just want to talk about one story real quick, and that was the one that I've seen yesterday. The Browns, Watson tears Achilles again, has surgery. So this is an interesting situation. It's terribly sad for that man to suffer through that injury again. The Achilles is one of those things that my understanding is that it's pretty tough to heal. So hopefully he can heal up and go on to live his best life. But as far as being a quarterback in the National Football League anymore, I'm not so sure that that's ever going to happen. But that's just my own opinion. So let's talk about today's upcoming games. I'd actually made a wager, a parlay that included some of this weekend's games. But one of them that I left out was the Steelers-Ravens game. So let me go ahead and say the Chargers and Texans. I feel like the Chargers are playing well entering the playoffs. I feel like the Texans have been suspect for quite some time. So with that in mind, I would take the Los Angeles Chargers, or the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles in this game right here over the Texans. And then in tonight's game, I feel like the Steelers have backed their way into the playoffs. They were backpedaling, stumbling into the playoffs. At one point, they had a firm grip on the AFC North, and that slipped away, and the Ravens ended up winning the division and ended up finishing actually 2 games better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the fact that it's cold, going to be cold according to AccuWeather, 31 degrees at game time tonight. The total point prediction is 44.5. I don't think they'll get to that. I think cold weather means a low scoring game. I think this will be a classic ugly AFC North game, probably 20-17, 23-20, something like that. I think the Steelers could go in here and get this win for sure. I'm not convinced that's going to happen. So I'm going to take the Ravens at home to get this big win. In Sunday's games, the first one features the Broncos visiting the Bills. And it looks like the temp's going to be 32 degrees there. This is what the Bills have been playing all season for, man, to get to this point. And I think the Bills beat the Broncos in this game rather handily. So I'll take the Bills at home to defeat the visiting Broncos. That Packers-Eagles game is something that I'm a little perplexed about. I think that if the Packers were completely healthy, they could probably go in here and get this win, but I'm not so sure that they are. I thought Jordan Love had left last week's game with an injury. And with it going to be 38 degrees, you know, if you're stiff or you have some soreness, that stuff is always worse in the cold than in the warmth. And I believe that Jalen Hurts is coming back for this game for the Eagles. So I will take the Eagles to fly at home against the visiting Packers. And then the next game is the Commanders visiting the Buccaneers. And quite honestly, I'm really torn about this game as well, because I feel like the Commanders could certainly go on the road here and get this win. And Tampa is only a 3-point favorite at home, which doesn't mean that, you know, the spread makers are thinking that the Bucs can blow their doors off. Because I think Tampa can score a lot of points. I mean, they've been able to score with a lot of people, you know, where it's gone back and forth. But, you know, can your defense hold up, I think, is really the bigger question there. But I'm going to take Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home against the visiting Commanders. And then on Monday Night Football, featuring the Vikings and the Rams, and that's going to be moved here to Glendale over there at State Farm Stadium because of the fires in LA. I don't trust the Vikings. I'll be really honest with you. When everything is on the line, I just don't trust Sam Darnold. Now, he's been a stat monster this year. I can see his stats right here. It says he threw for 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. And the interceptions are the things that are my big question mark here. The Rams beat the Vikings in the regular season. The Rams have been playing good football heading into the playoffs, as have the Vikings. Although the Vikings did suffer a loss recently to the Detroit Lions, but most people who have played the Lions lost to the Lions, so that's just facts. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm taking the Rams in this game, just because I don't trust the Vikings. I know the Vikings are capable, but what was it, 2 years ago when the Giants went to Minnesota for the first round of the playoffs and they beat the Vikings? So, you know, what the hell is that, man? I mean, you got a home playoff game, everything's set for you to win, and then you lay an egg. So the Vikings don't have a real good history of not laying an egg in the playoffs. And I think the Rams are, you know, a seasoned team. They won the Super Bowl recently. You know, Matthew Stafford's playing well. The Rams are this team that could potentially knock Minnesota off, and it wouldn't be that hard to fathom. So with that in mind, I'm taking the Rams over the Vikings on Monday, January 13th, which is Jason's birthday that day. So happy birthday to Jason. And while I'm on that topic, happy birthday to all the January birthdays out there. I hope everybody is having a blessed and outstanding new year. So I wanted to just kind of let you guys in on what I've been up to lately. The reason I missed a couple of weeks of videos is because I'd gotten a job. A friend of mine called me with a job offer that I could not refuse. So I decided to accept it. And here I am. And here I've been. So I'd recently spoken about what I thought my schedule would look like as far as video releases in 2025. I think I talked about that about 3 weeks ago. In the, week 17, or I think it was the week 16 prediction video, I think was the last video I did prior to this video today. But my plan was to essentially try to release 3 to 4 videos per week. Well, that's not going to happen now because of my 40-hour-a-week job. So what I'm planning on doing is doing live streams every Saturday from this point forward that I don't have something else to do. So in other words, if I have a family event that I need to do, if we're going camping or something like that, then I would not be doing a live stream that week. But I'm also experimenting with tree climbing with ropes because I got real into that there at the tail end of 2024. And I decided that I wanted to face my fear of heights by learning how to climb trees and going all the way up and trimming these palm trees. So I will be sharing those videos on this channel as well, just because it's fascinating. I mean, the more I started digging into arborists and tree climbing with ropes and these kinds of things, I was just like, wow, that is freaking cool, and I want to learn how to do that. So I've already started tinkering around with it. I don't have any pictures or video of that at this moment, but I do have 2 palm trees in my front yard that I do intend on trimming myself. I just haven't made it all the way to the top of one so that I can set my rope or set my paracord preset properly, correctly yet, but I'm slowly working my way up there to desensitize myself of being up high. So it's been a long time since I've been up high, really. I haven't been probably 20 or 30 feet off the ground in God, probably almost 10 years now, because for a while I was working for Cox Communication out here as a disconnect technician, and some of those jobs required me to use a 30-foot ladder to get to the line where the aerial was, where the cable still runs from the lines to the houses instead of being in the ground. So I should have thought about this and pulled up an old picture of me on the power line, because on the line that's up on the telephone poles. I'll have to show that though the next time, so that you guys can see what I'm talking about, for those who might not understand what it is that I'm saying. But that's been what I've been up to. I got a job. I like the job. I appreciate it. And I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Callous Mind Talking Head Sportscast. Before I go, though, I did decide that I was going to go ahead and disclose who I think, or who I would like to see in the Super Bowl. And my pick is, I would like to see the Detroit Lions playing the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl this year. And I would like to see the Detroit Lions win. It's terrible in a case like that, where you have 2 teams that have thirsted for that spot for so long, and it's unfortunate there's got to be one loser, but I'm telling you that I'd really love to see the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl. And as far as the college football playoff goes, I believe that the Ohio State Buckeyes are going to win the whole damn thing. That's just my feeling on it, because they've been playing with their hair on fire since they lost to the Michigan Wolverines in the last game of the regular season. So I think Ohio State is going to defeat Notre Dame, as much as I hate to say that, because I cannot stand Ohio State. I'm bitter about them defeating the Arizona State Sun Devils in the 96-97 football season, and costing Arizona State, which would have been a national title. And that was when Pat Tillman and Jake Plummer were playing for the Arizona State Sun Devils. So I hate Ohio State. I always will. I hope they lose the game. I'd rather see the Golden Domers of Notre Dame win the national title, but I don't know. I just don't know if they got the goods to play with Ohio State. Going into the playoff, I really thought it was going to be Texas or Georgia that came out the winner, but that didn't happen. And Ohio State's playing well, so I got to give credit where credit's due. So that's it. But go Notre Dame, huh? But until I speak with you all again next Saturday, please be good to yourselves and each other, and I'll talk to you all next week. God bless.